What's up guys, this is Coach Sambo and welcome to my Airchair tutorial.
Eight police officers in the hospital.
Chaotic scene.
What's up crackheads, this is your boy Coach Sambo, your online b-boy coach.
Now give me 5 push-ups.
And welcome to my Airchair tutorial, where I will teach you the best ways of learning and exercising in Airchair. Also, I will cover the do's and the don't do's when training your Airchair. Also, we'll go into many different options that become possible once you start to master your Airchair. Besides that, I will be giving you tons of tips and tricks that you will only find with your man, Coach Sambo. So the Airchair is of course a freeze that you can use in many different ways, infinite to be precise, but freezes can also evolve and develop into power moves or even blow-ups or freeze combos once you really start to master them. So before you start to learn your Airchair, you need to be sure that you can do a chair freeze, also like baby freeze and turtle freeze on one hand. These are freezes that will actually help you a lot to learn the Airchair. You can find all of these baby freeze variations in my ultimate baby freeze tutorial that you can find on my YouTube channel. And besides that tutorial, I have tons of breaking videos and many other high quality tutorials available for you guys. So just head on over to my YouTube channel and take a look for yourself. I'm sure you'll find a video you will like. And I am uploading videos weekly, so hit the subscribe button right there and the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos that I will be uploading. And you know, I might sound like this YouTube guy, but actually I'm just trying to help you get yourself to the next level because I will be uploading tons and tons and tons of more high quality shit. So before giving you the first step for the Airchair, I'm gonna give you this really important secret tip right here. And that tip is, when you're learning your Airchair, make sure you train it on both sides. And that is only if you wanna take yourself to that next level, of course. And for this, you just have to trust me. No questions asked, just trust me, and you'll thank me later. And training your Airchair on both sides is probably one of the most horrible things ever. It's hard work, and it's actually double the work of just training the Airchair on one side.
But that's the whole thing.
Most people won't put in the work as you will, and that's gonna give you the major advantage in the future. You see where I'm going with this? So train your shit on both sides. Also, the Airchair is really tough on your wrists and on your shoulders. So take your warm-up really seriously. Because if you injure your wrist, or you might just hurt your wrist a little bit, then you're gonna lose maybe 1, even 2 weeks of time and progress. Also, training your Airchairs on like grass or mats will put more pressure on your wrist and begin the chance of you injuring your wrist. So take these tips really seriously because you're only gonna win time and you're only gonna evolve a lot faster. Because I've been through all of this, guys, and you just have to trust me on that. So to start out with the Airchair, we're just gonna perform a few chair freezes and halo freezes on both sides just to warm up. Your wrist should actually already be warmed up at this point. But the thing we actually want to do right now is loosen up the shoulders. Once you feel good, we're going to work towards our first Airchair exercise, finding balance and comfort. So for this, you have to perform a chair freeze and level your head with your hips. If you have difficulty with this position, then you probably lack of shoulder flexibility. And to be honest with you guys, over the last 20 years of me breaking, I have met some individuals that were just not made to perform Airchairs. And I think at some point, we just have to accept that some body types are just not made to perform this position. However, I do have a plan B for people that do have problems with the shoulder flexibility for their Airchair, which is a Airchair with the elbow detached from your upper body, which kind of looks pretty good if you ask me. It's just a different way of performing your Airchair. We'll talk more about that later in the video. But for the moment, give yourself at least like 2 weeks of practice before you declare yourself un-Airchairable, if you know what I mean. Some people do have to really loosen up the shoulders to get them where they need to go so you can perform that Airchair. So once in this headless chair position, you want to start spreading your weight on both sides. Take your time to feel the balance and don't rush this. From here, you want to lift your feet until your toes can slowly detach from the floor. Use any position you feel is comfortable for you. The priority right here is balance, comfort, and control, not form. And this is the way I learned to get at ease with an air chair. And it could take a few practices for you to master this, depending on your flexibility and your strength and how good your baby freeze and all of that is. But once you start to master this balanced air chair, you can start using it in many different ways. Just balancing in your air chair is always a crowd pleaser. And also, if you have a really good control and you use it in a smart way, you can actually make some really dope combos with this, especially if you watch that form. Also, the way you get into this freeze has to be really, really clever, because if you're competing in a battle, you can't make everybody wait until you get into position for you to perform that balanced air chair. You gotta be smart on how you go into it. That's your business. Now let me just add here that from this point on in this tutorial, you should always exit by placing your feet on the floor. And this will get you at ease while performing the air chair, because you always want to finish up nice and clean. And once you master it, try different forms and shapes, and maybe you can find your own stuff, because that is what the game is all about. So now let's move on to the advanced air chair, which is basically air chair while piking the hips and bringing the legs towards us, creating a more twisted and complex form. For this, you need a little more shoulder flexibility than the balanced air chair. As this position will stretch your body out to its limits, it also requires additional hip flexibility. And if that's an issue, you better start stretching today, because every day you are getting older, my friend, and the clock is ticking. And me personally, I'm not that flexible in my shoulders or in my hips, but now and then I do manage to stick a respectable air chair. You don't need to be a contortionist, or you don't need to be really flexible to do decent air chair. So there's absolutely no reason to panic. Consistent work and effort will do the trick. The first method to work on our air chair is using something stable you can grab onto. Place yourself in the headless chair freeze position and use your abs and core strength to lift those legs up and try and pull them in as far as you can. The second option is doing a chair freeze and then contracting everything at the same time to almost just fold up and execute an explosive air chair. And this is how I learned my air chair way back in the day, and you never know, it might just work for you as well. The third option is starting from your knees, using two hands to enter the air chair in a fluid motion. If this works, you can try this with one hand. When exiting a basic piked air chair, you want to always place your feet. I recommend you doing this slowly just to have a good control over what you're doing. Practice slow, learn fast. Practice fast, learn slow. Once you get out comfortably, you can start making this more explosive by using your hips to pump out with a smooth hop, making your air chair look better and more explosive. So the form and the shape of your air chair is something that's really important. And there are millions of shapes and forms available for you while executing a piked air chair, depending on your body type and your flexibility. Just make sure that when you're performing a piked air chair, that you always bring your hips in towards you. Also, another variation that people do with air chair is the one we talked about earlier, is basically doing an air chair without your elbow touching your upper body. Usually this is performed by people that have a lot of strength and that do not specifically have good shoulder flexibility. Although it kind of is a low pike, a lot of people look at it as an air chair, and it does kind of look like an air chair, so it is kind of in between an air chair and a pike. But I will include this in this video, which is a smart move, right? Also, another tip that you should think about is, what are you gonna do with your free hand? Because performing a normal air chair is always on one hand, you're always gonna have one hand free. And it's the little details like this that can really take your air chair to the next level. Also, the entry to your air chair can actually double or even triple the value of your air chair. I have a tutorial on how to roll back to one hand, elbow pike, but also to air chairs. So definitely check that out. But what I actually recommend is for you to find tons of ways to enter your air chair by yourself, so you create your own style. And entering your air chair in an original or explosive way can really boost up the value of what you're doing. Also, if you really want to push your air chair to the next level, then you have to start thinking of how you're going to exit your air chair, because it's the small details like this that will make the difference when you're competing in battle. Prioritize getting out of your freeze nice and clean at first, but then you want to start experimenting and looking for original ways for you to exit that freeze, so you can actually surprise people after doing your air chair. And I recommend you just having multiple options of exiting, so you can choose depending on your mood, on the music, or even just to have the luxury of doing multiple air chairs in a competition, but then exiting every time in different ways, so you actually don't really repeat. Another thing you can add onto your air chairs is like an effect or even like a burn towards your opponent. And for this, you really need a good control and you really need to stick your air chair. So if you're a beginner, get the fuck out of here, man. Threads are a really common effect that you can add on to your air chairs, such as gestures that could actually burn or call out your opponent while doing the air chair, and preferably on the beat.
Bass in the space means peace, see you later.
Another awesome add-on to your air chairs when you really start to master them is actually just hopping in your air chairs. And this is one of the hardest things to actually learn once you know how to do an air chair. And hopping in your air chair will actually help you a lot, combining your air chair one-handed to other freezes and basically raising the bar. And stay tuned for other tutorials where we'll talk about all of that. Once your air chair is really mastered, you can start training power moves based off air chair. Spinning air chairs or chair air flares or chair flares, there's tons of them. You can really build up your power move arsenal thanks to the air chair. And of course, stay tuned for tutorials on how to do these moves. And just spam the comment section if you want me to make that faster. Also, let me know in the comments what tutorials you want me to make next. And don't forget, you can send me all your questions and all your feedback to my Instagram. And if you want to book me personally for workshops or classes or whatever, just DM me and then we'll take care of that. So I hope you guys learned a lot for this tutorial. Show your love and support because I will be making tons more. Also, stay tuned for some additional training content that you will find on my Patreon, because that's what I do. I take you to that next level. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, it's just all about that B-boy shit.